Professor Mackenzie, welcome back.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
Thank you so much for that incredible talk. I can't imagine anyone who would hear it wouldn't feel that it has profound implications for us in the way we live our lives. But it's technical, and there's a lot of science, and there's a lot of common sense there. So we have a lot of questions for you, Gerardo, if you're ready.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
Okay. So, one of the questions is, what about all the testing that's available out there right now? Are there things that people should be doing, or tests we should be getting, lab tests or other kinds of genetic markers, et cetera, that we should be considering to find out what our vulnerabilities are, et cetera?
Well, regarding specifically for cancer prevention, of course, there is like some markers that can be detected. For example, if one carries like BRCA2 genes or something like that, those could be discussed with a healthcare professional and see if it makes sense for us to do it. As these technologies get cheaper and cheaper, and I think it's more available for the clinic and for the hospitals, I think it makes sense as we move forward to personalized nutrition or personalized medicine that we can look for those technologies to help understand our personal risk. Besides, again, nutrition, like genetics, play a huge role, of course, in many diseases. So as we can understand more, I think it would be beneficial. Yes.
So you mentioned that term, personalized nutrition. Could you unpack that for us in terms of what it means? And then I think the question was really going after, what are the ways of finding out, what we need in diet to supplement the food we get now, and how that might, that knowledge might help guide us in the future. So if you could start with personalized nutrition and then maybe expanded discussion.
Yes. Again, it goes hand on hand with personalized medicine. Is like individualized towards our personal needs. Yes, as it was discussed also in the previous talk about exercises, like what we would need for achieve our goals. Yeah. So again, for me, maybe middle age, I think like I can support my healthy diet with my healthy nutrient intake with the diet per se. But maybe, I don't know, my mother, maybe it's over 70, maybe she would need specifically, I don't know, maybe a supplement for calcium for osteoporosis. So each one individually, or I don't know, my wife maybe needs a different intake. Yeah. So I think that like knowing more and more for our specific goals, like, and not just to prevent, but maybe to achieve our health goals, that is like more what it's related to personalized nutrition. As technology advances and we are able to get a lot of testing specifically, we shouldn't just go into general guidelines, but maybe move them into our personal needs. Yeah, so that's what I try to highlight.
So the whole area of supplementation and testing is growing, and most people take supplements to supplement their diet, but they don't actually know what they're supplementing. We're kind of guessing that if we take enough, maybe we'll supplement something we're missing. And I know there's an emerging industry that's trying to, get us to test to find out what we're missing. I think that industry is young yet. Unless you want to comment on that, I'll pivot that to the, you mentioned, what your mother should do. And the question is, at what age should a person start to moderate or adjust their diet to fit their genetic or environmental risks?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yes, again, it's also personalized, and it depends on the age and the goal of the person. Again, if they're already having what kind of diet they're just consuming and all that. But again, I think like we should always be adapting. I would say continuously, and it's difficult to know. Yeah, like exactly at what age is the perfect for each one to be adjusting. But again, I think like having those clinical markers for us if we are deficient in something or sufficient, like, and then just maybe supplement if needed that deficiency. But I wouldn't, I think for most of us, like in our diets, and many of the foods are already even supplemented. So I would personally, I do not recommend like a supplement if we don't really need it. Yeah, but again, I would discuss, of course, with your healthcare professional in specific cases. But again, I think our nutrition, our health needs to be monitored constantly, and I think adapt based on the needs. Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of general, but it's what I feel. Yeah.
Gerardo, it sounds like what you're recommending is people should start with a good diet before we supplement our diet.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And it's probably even more than diet. Would you say that it's really looking at all those other aspects, like be active and have a good diet?
Yes,
so,
definitely.
You can't supplement away not being active.
No, definitely. I think it goes hand in hand again. And the healthy diet plus the physical activity already and our social health and mental health all go together. So I think like having those pieces and making steps towards achieving that goal, or just changing things that will help, I think that makes sense. Yeah.
So then the next, it leads right into the next question, which is there really an anti-cancer diet, or is it just a good diet?
There's no straight anti-cancer diet. There's no specifically, but again, I think as it was mentioned in the presentation, I think having different small changes towards these recommendations, that is what it makes. Again, it's very difficult for everyone to achieve all those recommendations. And again, I'm Argentinian. I love my steak. I like my barbecue. So again, for me, it's very difficult. Again, limit the red meat. Yeah, when I have a barbecue, I eat a lot of red meat. But again, it's not. Yeah, maybe try to reduce it. Yeah, limit it. Instead of having like 3 barbecues per week, I having maybe 1 or 1 every 2 weeks. So I think those recommendations, I think going hand by hand with the physical activity or reducing the amount of sugar that we add. Yes, those kind of things. Yeah, I think those are important.
So, with that, it sounds like you're advocating moderation, which we've heard before, but what about those who financially just don't have the means to consume a high quality diet? Are there still recommendations for diet adjustment and et cetera?
Yeah, so of course it's very difficult. Now, if again, fruits and vegetables are expensive and are compared to other processed foods and all that. So that is always something that is discussed and tried. Again, for example, like I know that, for example, some of the food banks now, for example, that they are offering instead of just a pre-boxed or pre-packed box, they're offering like clientele can choose their food. So I think, and maybe having some education at that stage, or that will help. Yes, just to so they can choose maybe some fruits and vegetables that are offered instead of maybe like just cookies or bagels or to more refined carbohydrates. So I think those things can be helped. Or again, if you have a limited budget, of course, maybe choosing those I don't know, bread maybe with a little bit more fiber or something like that, or just going into water. Yes, and just so small steps. Again, of course, it's difficult and it's a complex problem. Yeah, the financial and the cost of healthy food. Again, and but as we know more, I think like small changes can make a difference.
So we talk about social determinants of health, but there are social determinants of wellness as well, and this is really one of them. The next question is from someone who asks about really the anti-inflammatory diet, gluten-free diet, immunogenic diets, whole food, plant-based food, probiotic, prebiotic. How are people to know? And is it just trial and error, or are there ways to actually determine the better diet individually in a precision way?
Yeah, again, I think the simple would be to be something that, again, it's culturally appropriate for you, that you try it and it's working. I would say trial and error is
Okay.
the easy way to move forward, because again, I someone can tell me, yeah, you should eat this, but again, if I don't know how to cook it, I don't like it, and I don't see myself eating that continuously, again, it's going to be very, very difficult for compliance. So I would say like smaller steps and just try. Yes, again, if this probiotic, again, probiotics are good. There are evidence showing that, again, like a healthy microbiome, our gut microbiome can help in, again, for diseases or for cancer prevention. So maybe just, again, but I have to try it if it's something that if I would like to drink it or take it. If not, it's going to be very, very difficult for compliance purposes. So I would say like trial and error, and then like having these measurements along the way to make sure that it's going the right way, it's moving towards to achieving this goal. I think those are important. Yeah.
Absolutely. So one of the questions is about, this issue. I think it gets at the issue of, you talked about obesity as being a problem, and body weight in terms of maybe being a marker for our ability to sustain and be resilient to other diseases like cancer. There's been a lot of interest in not just body fat, but visceral fat.
Yeah.
And one of the questions is around, as we get older, even though we may not be overweight, we have excessive weight in our mid-body and maybe even in our organs. Do you believe in that? And how would one mitigate that from a dietary perspective?
Yes, again, that is important. Again, maintaining a healthy weight and something that is appropriate for you, like you feel good, and I would say like maybe tackling also with some exercises. Yeah, I think that is going to be fine. But again, sometimes we know like what is appropriate in terms of the belly fat, and again, and sometimes only with a diet is very difficult to reduce it. No, again, I have that problem too. So, but yes, maybe some additional exercises or some Vikings and sit-ups, but small steps. But sometimes we know like if it's going a little bit too much of that, but yes, it's difficult. It's difficult. But there is evidence that, but maybe the fat surrounding the organs, the visceral fat, has some effect in some, again, gastrointestinal type cancers. Yes, and and one of my graduate students are working on the role of visceral fat in pancreatic carcinogenesis. So there is connection. So we have to be aware of it.
Well, here's a very specific question for you as a leading nutritionist, and that is, the person says, I do not like beans. I've tried eating beans, but I just cannot eat them. Is there something else to substitute?
Yeah, and it's very, very, yeah, again, of course, you shouldn't eat things that you don't like. Yeah, I would say like other colorful vegetables. Yes, I don't know, if lentils instead of just beans, if that's something that could be like, I don't know, maybe tofu or something others that could provide some fibers and maybe some higher in proteins, vegetable style. So I think those could be some possibilities, but yes.
So one of the attendees wants to know what you think about turkey bacon without nitrates.
So I would say that that's better than with the nitrates. Yeah, but again, as we discussed a little bit earlier, I think in moderation, I wouldn't suggest it's okay. Yes, I would say that, as I mentioned, I eat barbecues in moderation. Yeah, and I'm planning one for tonight, but again, with red meat. So I think like preferable, yes, in moderation, maybe once in a while, it will still be fine, yeah, if it's something that you like to eat, and of course it provides some important nutrients, yeah, and proteins and all that. So I think that's fine, but yeah, usually the healthier choice compared to the maybe more with conservatives or more salts, I think that would be better, yeah.
And then, you mentioned about, trying to avoid sugary or sweetened foods. What do you think about the non-sugar sweeteners, stevia, and some of the other artificial sweeteners that we consume? And how does that play into, our propensity to disease?
Yeah, there has been, I think the field is still developing on that. Yeah, there's no clear option. I would say that if you prefer sweet things and you prefer not to add sugary, I would say that it's okay, yeah, in most of the things to use these substitutes, but again, I think the field is still young to have like longer and robust studies to have a definite answer on what is, if it's in the chronic consumption of these sweeteners, if it has a health detrimental effect, I would say. So,
and if you don't mind, I'll just add that there's a great deal of science around the stimulation of the brain by the sense of sweet, so that we think we're avoiding the sugar by having a substitute that may not raise our blood sugar, but it's raising a signal in the brain that we're now understanding does have health consequences. And that's something we'll probably go into more detail later. But yeah, to switch gears here, can you say something about the health benefits of fermented food and why they might be of benefit?
Well, yes, again, I like them, and I think they have beneficials. Again, I think like modulating the gut microbiome, for example, yeah, and having a healthy gut microbiome, it has been shown to have beneficial effects against many, again, weight control as well as cancer prevention. Yeah, both colon cancer and pancreatic cancer that I know a little bit more about. I think like a healthy microbiome has been shown. There's the gut pancreas axis and pancreas gut brain axis and all those things, and the gut microbiome can play a role. So again, I think like I'm in favor of these kind of foods. Yeah.
So you've spoken about kind of a high meat diet, and the concerns around being moderate there. What about people who go to the other extreme? They have vegan diets, and they need to get protein and support their bodies. Is there any evidence that those are better for preventing disease? And how do you supplement the deficiencies that might come to those with vegan diets?
Yeah. So again, it is totally fine. Yes, and then there's like a lot of vegetable proteins that come from vegetable sources that are perfect. Yeah, there's again soy, tofu, beans. Yeah, that you could potentially get enough of the proteins. Yes, and I think with a balanced diet, that would be fine. Yes, and I would say like again, when we think about red meat, maybe iron is a very good source that is associated with red meat. There are some vegetable sources that are rich and also in iron, like I know some spinach, some maybe what's it called, pumpkin, for example, seeds, and those can have some iron, like beans have iron. So you could supplement like the diet, vegetable style diet or vegetarian style diet with those, and you should be fine. I would say like for most of us, like any of these diets are fine. Yeah.
Professor Mackenzie, I want to thank you, and I'm gonna mention while we're still on here a question that I don't think we'll have you answer, but a good one for us to think about. And the question is, how come no doctor in the UC Davis system has ever asked me about my vegetable intake or my exercise habits? Shouldn't this be the first question? And I don't know that that's one we need to answer, other than for me to make sure people know that's probably true. It's
Yeah, I
why we
agree.
have an Office of Wellness Education now that's not only trying to inform the public, but also help change really the scope of practice for our practitioners and what our students learn. So that's no longer the case. So
Yeah.
with that, Professor Mackenzie, thank you so much. That was outstanding. And we're going to move on now, but we hope you'll come back again soon.
Yeah, thank you very much, Scott. Yeah, thanks very much. And thanks everyone. Yeah.